Even in the event of a war against Iran, US President Donald Trump still found a reason to blame Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for possible failures in military operations against Iran. Today, Donald Trump complained that the previous US President Joe Biden allegedly gave Zelensky for free the missiles and ammunition that America needs today for the war with Iran. To be clear, this is a lie. At the same time, more and more analysts fear that the US operation against Iran is becoming a top priority for planners at the Pentagon and the White House. Therefore, Trump may lose interest in ending Russia's full-scale war against Ukraine. At the same time, Zelensky has already held talks with the leaders of the Gulf countries and stated that Ukraine is ready to help them in the fight against Iranian drones, but under two conditions. Zelensky said that Ukraine can negotiate to the Middle Eastern countries Shahed drone interceptors in exchange for missiles for Patriot systems, and also, if the Middle Eastern countries really start, Zelensky said that Ukraine is ready to help with Iranian drones. But
давайте вместе обсудим эту тему, но прежде чем мы начнем, попрошу вас, подпишитесь на этот канал, поставьте лайк и напишите любой ваш комментарий под этим выпуском. Это очень сильно помогает в продвижении контента на YouTube, и я буду вам за это очень сильно благодарен. Кроме того, подписывайтесь на мой телеграм-канал Pechiy News, ссылка на него в описании к этому видео, там мы публикуем оперативные новости по мере их поступления.
Donald Trump, even in the context of war against Iran, still found a reason to pick on him. Zelensky said that Ukraine can help in the fight against Iranian drones, but
навести вечно и очень успешно с таким запасом. По высшим меркам у нас хорошие запасы, но совсем не такие, какие мы бы хотели. Многое, дополнительное, высококлассное вооружение.
Under certain conditions, it is stored in separate countries. Sleepy Joe Biden spent all his time and our country's money giving everything away. FT. Zelensky said Ukraine is ready to help. Let me explain right away. This is P.T. Barnum, that's Phineas Taylor Barnum, the famous 19th century American showman whom Trump compares himself to. Zelensky stated that Ukraine is ready to help them in their fight against Iranian drones.
Хотя Украине, напомню, никогда не передавал.
Under such conditions, the same Tomahawk missiles and what was given to Ukraine, there were also 150 of them, Zelensky stated.
Никогда не использовалось для ударов по
That Ukraine is ready to help in the fight against Iranian drones, but under certain conditions. They would already have nuclear weapons. But overall, this is already, a clinical case of dragging everything in. Zelensky stated that Ukraine is ready to help in the fight against Iranian, but
приобретает приоритетное значение для планировщиков Пентагона и Белого дома, а потому Трамп может потерять интерес к прекращению полномасштабной войны России против Украины. Опасение заключается в том, что если США будут втянуты в затяжной конфликт на Ближнем Востоке, то практически
under certain conditions. The consequences could be even more serious than political ones. In particular, Ukraine could lose American-made weapons. Zelensky stated,
ежедневным ракетным атакам России. Трамп заявил,
that Ukraine is ready to help in the fight against Iranian drones, but
и некоторые аналитики предупреждают,
under certain conditions, the operation could escalate into a broader conflict from which it may be very difficult for America to withdraw. Zelensky.
Издание «Политику» на этот счет. Существует эффект домино.
that Ukraine is ready to help fight against Iranian drones, but under certain conditions. Zelensky, Ukraine is ready to help in the fight against Iranian ones, but
Такой конфликт может истощить американские запасы оружия и сделать Соединенные Штаты более уязвимыми. И этот аргумент, вероятно, будет усиливаться, чем дольше продлится война. Это может подтолкнуть администрацию Трампа к приоритетному пополнению собственных запасов за счет предоставления...
Zelensky said that Ukraine is ready to help in the fight against Iranian drones.
А также делать больший вклад в Украину. Но эти усилия, вероятно, будут длиться годами. Кроме того, эксперты отмечают, что...
Under certain conditions, the Middle East could very quickly turn into a crisis of components for Ukraine's defense industry. Prices, quotas, and supply chains will change dramatically, but this could affect the ability to produce the same drones. And at first glance, Trump remains committed to seeking a solution to the Russia-Ukraine war, but so far, Trump's attempts to speed up the pace of negotiations have not led to any breakthrough. Trump himself has previously stated that one day his patience may run out and he may withdraw from attempts to help achieve peace. At the same time, Vladimir Putin does not seem to be in a hurry to reach an agreement, and in recent days there have been even more large-scale attacks on Ukraine using hundreds of Russian missiles and drones. However, one of the European diplomats made a very interesting and, in my opinion, spot-on statement to Politico. Here's the quote. "It will be difficult to maintain the capacity, meaning the supply deliveries. Even before the war against Iran, the Americans were already showing less interest and losing patience with Ukraine. Yes, Trump may lose focus on peace negotiations, but ask yourself, are these negotiations actually leading anywhere?" And here Volodymyr Zelensky has already taken the initiative. The president of Ukraine suggested sending the best Ukrainian specialists in destroying Iranian drones to the Middle East. But only if the leaders of the region managed to persuade Vladimir Putin to agree to a one-month ceasefire in the Russian-Ukrainian war. Zelensky emphasized that 4 years of full-scale war have allowed Ukrainian soldiers to gain unique experience in fighting drones, including Iranian Shaheds, which are now being used against the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, Oman, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia. Later, Zelensky spoke with the leaders of the Emirates and stated that Ukraine could even provide Shahed interceptors to Middle Eastern countries, but in exchange for missiles for Patriot systems. He said, listen, you have PAC-3 missiles, but to defend against hundreds of Shaheds, that's just not a working model. In Ukraine, they've already realized this, worked it out, and basically came to the conclusion that, well, sorry, using a Patriot missile to shoot down a Shahed is just stupid. But Ukraine, on the contrary, lacks those Patriot missiles, while Ukraine does have effective Shahed interceptors. So why not, as they say, make an exchange? And finally, I'll quote Zelensky. For example, if we talk about weapons during the war that we are lacking, it's the PAC-3 missiles. And if they give them to us, we will give them interceptors. It's an equal exchange. In addition, if the leaders of the Middle East manage to reach an agreement with Putin, they have good economic relations, at least economic ones, they will agree with them on a ceasefire. Then those guys, the Ukrainian guys who are defending our skies today, can go and protect or teach how to defend against Iranian attacks. And if missiles are flying at us, well, with all due respect, we are here and we will defend our state. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments under this episode, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. If you found this episode interesting and useful, you can support the work of this YouTube channel with your donation or subscription using the links and details in the description of this video, or by using the QR code on your screens. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everyone.